Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of If I Knew Then Mom Edition. I'm your host, Maria, and I'm so excited you're here. This podcast is all about real motherhood stories, those unfiltered, powerful lessons we wish somebody would have told us before we became moms. Whether it's about healing, identity, or those tiny humans that teach us more about ourselves than we have ever imagined, this space is for it all. Today we have an incredible guest, Catalina. Hi,
Happy to be
Catalina.
here.
Are you a mom? If you are, how
Yes.
many kids? How old?
Yeah. My son is almost 23 years old, so he's an adult now. And I was a single mother. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I raised him by my own. He's living abroad now and he has a girlfriend and everything is fine.
Wow, that's incredible. As I continue this journey with this podcast, I'm meeting more and more single moms, and I am seeing how many single moms out there. And I'm pretty sure there's new moms that are single and would love to hear your story and how you did it. And, if you have any tips and things like that that will help them out, that'd be fantastic for them to hear.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I have tips because not only that I was a single mother, but I was surrounded by narcissists, and that was very difficult because it would have been easier if I would have been a single mother and that's all, and not been surrounded by so many people, so many narcissists. Of course, back then I didn't know they were toxic for me and so on because that was what was normal for me, and that is why I didn't know to protect myself better and to protect my relationship with my son, let's say, because narcissistic people interfere in your relationship with your child and so on. So one tip is to see, I know, the people around you, and if they are not okay for you or for your child or for your relationship, just leave. Because I'm sure you can handle everything on your own, and I'm sure that you are a strong mother and can do it. And those people around you will only damage everything, and they will only say that they will help you, but actually they will not. So that would be one tip. And if I knew then, yes, of course, if I knew then, I would have left sooner. Just took my child and live in another town, out of those relationship in another country, or just the better. Because of course I didn't know that they were toxic, and not knowing, because I stayed in those relationship, I couldn't play with my child. I couldn't connect emotionally. I mean, I was present there, but I couldn't be there. I was there for him, but in the same time, I couldn't be there for him emotionally. So, of course, I lost those years, and those years of his childhood will never come back. So, yeah, that is why I would advise all mom to just take their children and leave. If there are toxic people around them, family, and so on. For me, it was my family because I was raised in a narcissistic family. Yeah, everybody, everyone around me was like that. Yeah, to just live and to be with your child and be able to connect and play with it and so on. I didn't know that I was allowed it to laugh or to play, or so I lost those funny moments. Okay, I kept my child alive, yes, yeah, but I couldn't be there, to play, I don't know, cars, toy cars or Lego, or to do something funny, to go to a park and so on, because I was worried all the time. Because they kept me, to be worried, to be and so on. Yeah, so tip is just be there for a child and be able to connect with him, to connect with your children.
Yeah, that must have been very hard because
Yeah,
I know, I mean, at least with my two little ones, that is something that type of connection, it's is an interesting way, like trying to figure out how to have that dynamic, you know?
yeah,
And I can only imagine having a family that intervenes and just tries to like stop that type of connection with
yeah,
the
and
mom and
to
son.
destroy everything. Because narcissistic people around you try to destroy, they tell your child that you say something about him, or that you are a bad mom and so on. Of course, you don't know that they told this to your child about you, and so on and so on and so on. They tell you
Wow.
that you're a bad mom, that you are worthless, and so on. So you are worried all the time. You are sure that you are a bad mother. After so many years, of telling you all this,
You
you
start believing it.
start believing it, of course. So that is why you can't be there and connect. And in my case, because my son is an adult, it's very hard to realize that those years are gone and I can't take them back. But of
Yeah.
course, when I will have grandchildren, I will totally be there for him, and I will play all day long, and I'll be there emotionally and connect to them. But till
Yeah.
then, of course, it's a loss, and I feel it as a loss. And of course,
Yeah.
if I knew then, I would definitely do better. I would definitely do different things. So that's a tip
Mm.
for all moms out there. Look around you and see who is helpful and who is not. And people who tell you that they are helpful and you wouldn't manage without them, it's possible not to be so helpful after all.
That's such a great tip because to be quite honest with you, like when I had my first pregnancy, and I didn't believe this until it happened. And one of the first things was that a mom was like, "Oh, by the way, just letting you know, once you become a mom, you start losing a lot of friends." And you're like, "Oh, no, my friends are my friends. Like they're amazing. They're gonna be supportive, you know." And she was like, "Okay, well, hopefully that's the case, right?" Because at the end of the day, most moms never want to say such comment as a bad way, kind of like more of like, "Hey,
Yeah,
protect yourself," right? And then once the baby came, there was like, the people that will tell you like, oh yeah, like I want to be there and things like that, just either they disappear or they would say that they would help, but they wouldn't do anything. And then, or else you have that case of like, oh yeah, I'll help you, but instead they do more worse than what they're
yeah,
doing better. And there's sometimes, like in Spanish, we have the saying, it's better to be alone than be with bad company, right? And that is something that, especially if you're a mom going through something similar, understand that it's better off to be by yourself with your kids than to be in these type of relationships or forcing types of relationships that are only causing more pain and harm.
yeah. And it's okay to leave, and you are allowed to leave, even though it's your husband or partner or mother or father or friend or whatever. And you are allowed it to leave. You can leave because most women really don't know that they can leave. That they are allowed not to keep in touch with their family and so on. They believe they are stuck there. They believe oh, but it's your mother. You have to keep in touch with her. Oh, but she raised you so well. You have to keep in touch with her and so on. And they don't know that they are allowed to just leave.
Yeah. At the end of the day, something that I have learned throughout like my young 33 years is that we don't owe anything to anybody.
Yeah,
If they want to help you, they will help you because they want to. And at the end of the day, you don't owe them anything. Like my daughters don't owe me anything. If anything, I owe them because I'm the one that chose to bring them to this earth?
yeah,
And at least that's how I see it because they didn't ask to be here. I
yeah,
didn't ask to be here. So at the end of the day, like I, as a mom, I owe to my daughters. They don't owe anything to me. And so those moms listening, you don't owe anything to anybody. You don't owe anything to your parents. You don't owe anything to your family. You don't owe anything to, because at the end of the day, if they wanted to do it, they did it without like from the kindness of their heart, or at least they should have.
yeah. And you owe it yourself to be happy because if you're not happy and if you don't feel safe, your child will not be okay. So you owe it to yourself to be okay, to be happy, and after that to be able to be there for your child.
Oh, yes, that's 100% true.
Yeah,
If
and we hear a lot, when you get pregnant and so on, you hear a lot about, oh, but once you have a child, you'll sacrifice yourself. Oh, your life is over. You have to sacrifice your whole life for the child. You'll not live anymore. Oh, you are not allowed to buy anything, not even a candy for yourself, because you have to buy and sacrifice for your child, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So we hear this a lot, and many more things.
so
Important to
much.
just ignore them or not to believe them. Or if
Mhm.
you are a single mother, a lot of people will tell you, oh, nobody will choose you. Nobody will take you if you are a single mother. Or just be grateful if some man will choose you if you are a single mother. Oh, it's impossible because you already have a child. No, they will not take you. You are, I don't know, damaged or somehow. And it's very important to also ignore this because no, it's not true.
Yeah, that is very true. Whoever's listening right now and just like wondering if they're gonna be able to find somebody else, if you start thinking about all the amount of people that there is on this planet, that there's people that want to be able to love you, that want to be able to love your child, that wants to like genuinely, honestly want to be able to provide and be there and support you. And it's especially in this today and age and the society just have brought us up that we have to just settle and like be just comfortable with whatever it is. And that is not true because we should be value like give yourself value, give your kids value. And by staying in those relationships, knowing that it's just, it shouldn't be like you shouldn't be dragging yourself. You shouldn't be, feeling like you're sinking all the time, because that is what those type of relationships, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's usually what
No,
those
for
type
sure.
of relationships bring, and like you said, kids, even I think it's by the 6th month, kids are like the babies already know whether you're angry or not. And
Yeah,
as they
or
get
you're sad,
older,
or you're depressed, or you're anxious.
yeah, just by the tone of voice, or just they start recognizing face expressions, the micro face expressions. So what's wild is that, and I saw this documentary on Netflix, man, I don't remember. I think it was a baby documentary one. And they say that kids younger than 2 years old can actually identify the different, like between the same type of monkeys, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
can identify the individual ones, as if we were like, you put different, people in front, they can tell the difference. The same thing with monkeys. We lose that ability later on as we grow up. So what does this mean?
yeah. And if a child sees us depressed or anxious, they don't feel safe, and that's not good for them. Not to be safe in their home and with their parent, especially if it's a single parent. So
Yeah.
that is why it's very important to keep ourselves safe first, so we can keep our children safe.
Yes, that is very true. They do feel it, later on. It's kind of like the chain reaction of generational trauma and the
Yeah,
generational pain. You continuously drag that until you're mindful and you're present and you understand that that's going on, and that is when you can finally just
yeah, yeah,
cut those
and finish
strings.
those, yeah, and cut those things, because otherwise we will just give them to our children, and they will give it to their children, and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I knew then, I would definitely do things differently, as I said. And because I would have liked to know that I owe it to myself, and I owe it to my child to be better.
And
And
how's your relationship
yeah,
now with
yeah,
him?
yeah, yeah. And that's regret I have, of course. But it's important to know that your relationship with your child can be rebuilt at any times, even though he's an adult, and you can take it from there.
That is very true.
Never too late, to rebuild that relationship, even though you couldn't be there for him emotionally, and you couldn't
Yeah.
at that time the relationship he would have deserved, and you would have liked it to have. But you can take it from there at any age,
And how's
and,
your relationship with him now?
very good. But I'm building it, rebuilding it every day. Yeah, but it's very good. And
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure that, as I said, I will be there for my grandchildren. And yeah, it's important to be healthy to be able to not not to lose, let's say, their childhood too.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My mom, like, if she was here, she would tell you like being a grandma is probably the best thing that has ever happened to her. Yeah, and she was, and she tells everybody, she's like, it saved me, like internally, just it sparks up something completely new. And I still laugh about it because my mom looked at my oldest and she's like, you're the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Like, hello, how about me?
I'm your miracle child. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but actually there are different feelings, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
will definitely be more relaxed and so on. And that is why we would like to tell all the mothers out there to not lose this time, because I see it in my clients. They got stuck in those relationship with partners or family and so on, and just remain there and can't get out, and just remain in their ideas, in narcissistic ideas and so on, in order to, instead of being able to get out. And it's a pity, because those years are gone. Your life will be gone, and it's a pity to be there and to stay in somebody's craziness, let's say.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine the grief that you have to go through to be able to surpass such, stage of life. And so, I'm pretty sure there is, but if there's anybody listening right
Yeah,
now that is like, okay, but where do I start? What do I do? How can I get out of this?
yeah. First, you need awareness to understand about the toxic people and so on, and what is toxic for you. So you can see around you who is toxic and who is not. So first would be awareness, to realize that, to give yourself permission to see, to hear their behaviors, and to realize they are not okay. And after that, you may go to a therapist or to a support group or read or, hear podcasts and so on, listen to podcasts and just realize what it's not okay for you. And after that, of course, leave that relationship or those relationships, parents, partners, and so on. And if you need to co-parent with a toxic person, learn how to do it so you can protect yourself and your child. Because there are a lot of women out there who need to co-parent with the toxic person. Let's not say narcissist, but toxic ex-partner, which is very difficult. So learn how to do it, learn what methods to use in order to be able to protect yourself. And of course, there is life after this. So you don't need just to survive. You can live and even thrive. So it's possible. So there is hope.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure there is programs that are out there that will help you, go through, because I'm pretty sure part of it is like, oh, but they're probably stay-at-home moms and they haven't worked, they don't have money and things like that. So, I have never been in that situation, but I know that there are programs out there that do help with these situations.
Yeah. And learn how to deal with it, how to, emotionally, legally, and everything. Because, yeah, it's not easy. Sometimes women believe they don't have a choice. As you said, oh, if you accepted that partner, you need to stay there. You need to, I know, till death do us part, you need to be there. But no, you are allowed it to live in every moment of your life. And even though, let's say, it was financial abuse and so on, you can find somebody to help you. You can find a job. There are ways to get out from there.
Yeah. So, if you are in this situation, one of the first things that you need to do is first understand, study the
What
behaviors
you're
of
dealing
other
with.
people,
Yeah.
and then seek support, seek somebody that
Yeah.
you can safely talk to. Because if you feel like your child or you are in danger, like seek the support that somebody there can back you up so that way you can be safe and your child can be safe, because I can only imagine the situations where it's more than just narcissism is abuse, right? And
Yeah.
know that there is an exit, but having an exit plan would be
Yeah.
the best type of strategy to be able to navigate that situation.
Yeah. And of course, contact the authorities if you are in danger to be killed or, yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
very important to feel safe, of course. There are a lot of
Yes.
women who are murdered, women who are murdered these days. So
Really?
yeah, that is why it's very important to know that first thing is to be safe, contact the authorities, or do whatever it needs to be done. The
Hmm.
police can help you, the court, everyone. Yeah, yeah, but it's important to ask for help, to realize that you are in real danger and to ask for help and to
Yes.
find the right people to do it, of course. I believe it's very difficult for you to hear about this because you didn't went through this and yeah. Or even though they don't feel that it's time now, at least an idea remained with them, and maybe in 1 month or 2 months or 1 year they can do it. But it's important to hear it that they can definitely do it, and
Yeah.
there is hope out there. This year, I'm going to launch. I would like to launch a global movement for empowering women. I will give you more details when I have them, maybe in September. But especially for this, because there are a lot of women who are sure they need to remain there, and I want to be able to help more women globally to know that they can leave their abusive partners, their abusive families, and so on. Save them and save their children and so on. Yeah, they can find me on Facebook on this name, and I help especially women, let's say, but I help both men and women to divorce their narcissistic husbands. Actually, I'm a therapist, and I help with survivors of abusive relationships. Actually, I work with both men and women, but usually women get to therapy, so that is why I say women, because most women work, you know, most women get to therapy. I'm welcoming men too, because men are survivors too. And in September, I will come back to you and tell you the details for that global
Yes.
movement. Yeah, I'm working on it right now, but I will give you details once I have them. How to not enter to a job and the boss can be toxic and so on. So we
Hmm.
can't control everyone around us, all the situations. Yeah, so they need to know how to manage. Yeah, so in September, I will come back and give you more details.